They either want to frighten you or excite you. They even want to dumb you down, you know, turn you against each other, set you up, man. It's all a game, man. It's like a movie. The media does that to the content, to the narratives, John. So this is what it is, man. So look, man, you're going to hear a lot of stuff from the media. I'm just cautioning people, man, do not let this shave years off your life. Don't do it. Don't do it. It's their job to get you pumped up, to get you and have you walking around with anxiety, feeling of impending doom. What's going to happen next? What's going to happen next? Everything will be okay? When I was a kid, that movie, The Day After, came out. I was just a little kid, man. I remember every time I heard a plane, if you don't know, the movie The Day After was supposed to be after nuclear Holocaust, like after the nuclear bomb dropped, man. And the whole world was like blown to smithereens pretty much. Only a few people survived. And this was like in the 80s, man, when we had just started understanding what that technology really was. You know what I'm saying? I remember being a little kid, man, and I would feel fear when I hear a plane flying over here. And that was bad because we live close to Andrews Air Force Base. You hear planes all the time, but I ain't know that. I ain't know that's why. Be looking around, what the hell? What? Uh-oh. Yeah, man. That's how people walking around nowadays because of the media, because of CNN and MSNBC and CBS and ABC and NPR and all the other ones. People walking around like that. They're walking around on pins and needles. Nerves like this, just like this, shaking. Shaking like a leaf, just worried all the time. I'll tell you, man, you can't don't let this media game get you all messed up, man, where you can't function, man. Don't do it, man. It ain't worth it. Wow. You know what I'm talking about? Anybody can relate? That movie had me shook, man. I was petrified. Wow. But yeah, man. Tonight's show, Democrats in Shambles, CNN roasted, man. I'm going to start it from the top, man, because I just think it's important for us. It's important for us to have these real conversations. Let's get it cracking, Johnson. Thank you, Johnson. Thank you to the Wolfpack. I appreciate y'all. Let's roll. Now, look, I just put out a video. It's doing pretty well. I got content I just put out about Michelle Obama's podcast and why that thing flopped. Why it flopped. It's a flop, man. That's bad. That's doing pretty good. And then I put out another video from last night's show. Jasmine Crockett's blunder. She said some stuff, man. And I want to get her out the way quick because I just did content on her yesterday. But I got to do today because she's so disrespectful. She is so damn disrespectful, Johnson. Like, she's trolling Black America. Jasmine Crockett is turning to Candace Owens / Charleston White / remember the sheriff? The sheriff used to be, I don't know, I think it was Milwaukee / Brandon Tatum. You know what I'm saying? She done turned into all three of them. But today, I think I'm going to pull her card in a special kind of way, in a way that's going to be different. You know what I'm saying? The way I'm about to pull her card is going to be significantly different than what I usually would say. And folks, I'm telling you, this right here, for Black America right here, Johnson, this is the hit. This is a major issue. And it's something, folks, that we're going to have to sit for a couple of moments to kind of gather ourselves and kind of have that conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get it going on the Tim Black Show. Let's go.
Okay, well. Next on deck, with Tim Black.
I couldn't hear it.
How many of you are sending your kids to college to go and work on them? Okay, well, guess who is working the farms? So that you can afford your food.
So that you can have food.
So that you can have food. Now, how many of you are looking to send your kids into hospitality after this college education so that they can go and make the beds at the hotels? How many of you are planning to send your kids to college? Because that's what we do here. We send everybody to college. How many of you are planning to send your kids to college so that they can then go and build these houses? So the reality is that so long as we live in a capitalist society, there's always going to be someone or a group of people that will do work that some of the rest of y'all don't want to do. These are the people that are really making us great in this country.
Next.
I want to get her back on the screen, Johnson. I want everybody to listen very closely to what she just said. I want you to let that slide around in your head a little bit. Because what she said was very much, you can take it two ways. You can say, oh man, that was offensive as hell. Oh, that's so offensive. She basically said America gotta have slaves. We gotta have people we're gonna exploit. Oh no. What is she saying? Now you can look at it that way. Now when I hold that against you, I would understand why you look at it that way. But see, that's the easy. That's a very easy way to look at it. That's a very simplistic go-to. I want us to sit with it a little bit longer, let it swirl around in our heads a little bit, and look at it another way. Look at this. Jasmine Crockett. She's talking about elitism. Jasmine Crockett just revealed herself for what she really is. She one of them people. She one of the bourgeoisie, black, elite, talented 10th, looking down on the masses of black people. And she's also a black man hater. She is a black man hater. Now, look, that's a strong thing to say about a black woman. To say something like that, you gotta have some receipts, boy. You can't just say that about that sister like that. How you gonna talk down on that sister like that, saying she hate herself? No, she don't hate herself, fool. She a black woman. I said she hate black men. Has no respect for them. Unless they make more money than her, that is. Listen to what I'm saying, folks. Her argument is that America needs people that are gonna do these jobs. You know, these jobs no one else will do. Jobs like working in the fields. Now, we're used to hearing that trope, but we all know people coming across that southern border, everybody don't go work in the fields. If you've been watching the Tim Black Show, we know there's several industries that folks on the southern border, people from Latin America, certain fields that they take jobs in that don't have nothing to do with farming. We know that, right? Because you've been watching my show. You don't just watch me destroy Democrats. You watch the shit when I be educating. So we know we got construction jobs, manufacturing jobs, we got landscaping jobs. Basically all the jobs black people used to have. All the fields black people used to dominate in. Back in the 50s, the 60s, the 70s. In part of the 80s. Okay? Jasmine Crockett just sat there and she said, you don't want to build no house. Who's going to be building the houses? We got to have those migrants. We need them. Who's going to do this work? These are the real people that built America. Listen to this, folks. She don't love black men. First of all, let's get some things straight. And I tell you, every time when she talk, she's just re-talking. There's no facts, there's no numbers, there's no data. And she got a bunch of black people, particularly black women and a bunch of simps. And I'm gonna start calling you guys simps because that's what you are. Simps. Was any men in your life at all when you were raised? I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry both ways. Because if a man was in your life, the way you guys talking, somebody need to stop him and you. Let's talk about the college. The percentage of Black Americans aged 25 and older with at least a bachelor's degree is approximately 26%. Who is she talking to when she's talking about we all go to college? We ain't got time to be out in no fields. We don't got time. We ain't the ones building stuff in America, working with our hands. We don't do that. We went to college, didn't we? That's what y'all do. Y'all go to college. Who is y'all? Only 20%, 26% of Black Americans have bachelor's degrees. More of us go to college, but not most of us graduate. And if you don't graduate, you ain't qualified the same way a person who gets their paper gets. I ain't got to tell y'all know what it is. In fact, white Americans, 41% of them end up with college degrees, bachelor's degrees. Bachelors. Asian Americans are 59%. The only group with less college degrees on average are Hispanics at 18.9. But we ain't far ahead of them with 26%, and that 26% is because of Black women. Because Black women are over-indexing on education. So who she's advocating really for, who she's really speaking about are Black women. Aren't doing roofing jobs, laying concrete like my dad. My dad raised a family of 5 as a construction worker who moved up to being like a foreman and doing other things on the job, but he was always in construction for 50 years. And we got Crockett sitting here saying, we ain't doing them jobs. My dad did that job. That's what he did. For 50 years, up until 2 months before he died. He was on the job. And I got this woman saying we don't do them jobs. Now, we don't do them jobs no more because you Democrats sold us out that we can't do them jobs. Them jobs are given to the Latinos. The number one field for employment for Black men. Production, transportation, and material moving occupations. One of the big booming businesses is CDLs. We've covered this on my channel, but we did that as a reaction to what happened to the construction jobs, because the construction jobs paid better. Yeah, them brothers that was on that bridge in Baltimore, they got hit by that ship, they make good money. Them Latino boys, them Latino men, I should say, them Latino men that was on that bridge, God rest their souls, who were victim of that crash. People were talking, these are salt of the earth. They were building those bridges, and they were bigging up the immigrants. Black men used to do those jobs. Now they don't hire you if you don't speak Spanish. That's because of people like Jasmine Crockett made it that way. The Democrats don't like working class men in general. They really don't like working class Black men. Have no use for them. You can tell. Why else would she be saying we all go to college when Black men go to college the least? Black men go to college the least of all the other men in America. We go to jail the most. So when you give away jobs, when you say, oh, we don't need them jobs that work with your hands, the trade jobs, drywall, it's all types of jobs in construction, all types of jobs in building. She just said we don't do them jobs. She's sitting in a room, predominantly Black people, telling Black women and them laughing and kikiing and clapping for her talking about doing away with the jobs that Black men do. Now, Black women, their number one jobs are sales and office occupations. 27% of Black women are in sales or office occupations, including administrative assistants, customer service representatives, retail sales workers. these jobs correspond with the higher educational attainment of black women. It's all right there. So the Democrats got a problem. Why else you think black men left and voted for Trump? Because he don't talk down to hardworking black men. He don't talk down to black men who the electricians, the roofers, the mechanics. He don't talk down to landscapers. He don't talk down to men that work with their hands, who build with their hands. Democrats do. We're not even counted in that fields. We're not even counted in those occupations. We're not even considered for those occupations. They'd rather for us to go drive Lyft, go drive Instacart, DoorDash. That's what they want us to do. Amazon. Who's building a family off Amazon? Driving around in the Amazon truck. Who's building a family off that? I'm sure it's being done. I don't think it's easy work. You don't start talking about Uber and Lyft and that other stuff. Black men are notably underrepresented in high skills like management, business, science, and arts. Particularly when you compare it to where black women are. And what I'm telling you folks is that Jasmine Crockett it's not just her, but it's a whole group of black women, and a lot of them are Democrats who look down on black men who don't do the same professions they do. And this woman's legislating. This woman is a lawmaker. That's what she's supposed to do when she ain't sitting up here kikiing and talking and jumping in front of every camera she could find. She's supposed to be legislating. And that's bad. That's dangerous. I'd rather for her to be kikiing and talking. Because imagine what kind of legislation she's behind. It ain't going to be the kind of benefits black American men. Not at all. Sisters, if you have a black man in your life who does not work in an office environment, who is not a politician or a lawyer, you should feel a certain kind of way about what she said. You know, all over this country, there are men and women who are not going to college and graduating. And even those that do, Johnson, even those that do, getting a piece of paper if you go and you graduate, congratulations. Finding a job, finding a high-wage job, that's a whole different thing. Ain't no guarantee on that. Hell, I went to a training school. When I got out of high school, I went to a training school. I had a 4.0 average. I couldn't find a job. It took me almost a year to find a job. And if I had luckily met someone who knew someone who was a manager at a contract company, a government contract company, that's how I got my first job that opened the door to the office environment. But I happened to know him, happened to know his wife. His wife worked that job. He did. He was a musician. I met him via music. And through conversation, yeah, man, I'm looking for a job. What you do? Well, I did it. And I went to the school. What? Well, let me give my wife your resume. And 3 months later, or 2 months later, whatever, I ended up getting a job. It was a very entry-level position. So what I'm saying is, Jasmine Crockett's not telling the stories that black men have. She's not talking to black men. Her conversations not for black men. Her policies are not for black men. They are anti-black male. They may not be anti-black women, but they damn sure are anti-black male. And if you support Jasmine Crockett, dare I say, you anti-black male, because that's what she is. Now, maybe if you Charlemagne the God, or DJ Envy, or Stephen A. Smith, you know, maybe it's okay, because you don't work with your hands. You don't have them type of jobs. You're at 1%. What about everybody else? What about everyone else who's not in those jobs, who's not in those lines of business that she won't meet at the DNC convention that she won't bump into at the fancy parties that her rich friends throw. She don't count those black people. Those black people, they detest, I'm telling you, there's a certain class of black people, and you met them, you've seen them before, they detest working class black people. They detest working class white people too, don't get it twisted, but they got a certain disdain for working class black people. They the ones that focus on this DEI, it's black shit. We know we ain't getting the jobs that you talking about. All this talking, I've been hearing them talk, folks. I've been hearing them go on and on and on and on and on. This ain't even a conversation that concern working class black men. Because we know when they talk about DEI, they're not talking about black men. And if they are, they're talking about the LGBTQ type black men. You think Michael still got a job because of DEI? Charlamagne didn't get a job because of damn DEI. Nah, they fighting for themselves. All of them are fighting for themselves and leaving us the hell out. They're leaving black men the hell out. All this talk. For months, there have been certain people running around. DEI mean black. DEI mean black. No, I mean black women. That's why you don't want it to go. Because of the black people that helped, it was black women. You better save it for somebody who don't know anything. You better save it for somebody who hasn't done any research. That's why we don't give a shit about it going. Folks, I'm going to leave this here. I don't hear white women discounting white men this way. I never hear it. I never hear it. I never hear them opining and insinuating white men don't do, disrespectful as hell is what it is. In my opinion, Jasmine Crockett has been exposed. She exposed herself. So yeah, you can talk about, it sounds elitist. Yeah, it do sound elitist. Like saying all the Latino people are good for is picking grapes. That's disrespectful as hell too. But anybody can pick that up. What I'm talking about is from a black American lens that most people ain't looking through. And what I'm telling you, when I listened to her say this, when I heard her say this, all I heard was anti-black maleness.
How many of you are sending your kids to college to go and work on them? Okay, well, guess who is working the farms? So that you can afford your food.
So that you can have food.
So that you can have food. Now, how many of you are looking to send your kids into hospitality after this college education so that they can go and make the beds at the hotels? How many of you are planning to send your kids to college? Because
that's somebody who has no data, no facts, don't care. There are a lot of women across this country that still work in hospitality, by the way. Everybody's not a realtor, Jasmine Crockett.
We do here. We send everybody to college. How many of you are planning to send your kids to college so that they can then go and build these houses? So the reality.
Build a house is a pointless occupation, it sounds like to her. I'm going to leave it there, man. If I got people that are living in denial, that's fine. Live in denial, stay in denial. I'm gonna keep swinging. This is BS. And it needs to be called out. That's what it needs to be done. It needs to be called out at every turn. She don't know what she's talking about. Just because she got brown skin and hair pieces in her hair don't mean she's standing on business for us. You gotta move past the superficial. I couldn't stop hearing people talk about Trump with black jobs. How dare he say black jobs, taking black jobs? Just because them elite jobs, those elite positions they have, aren't up for grabs like that. You understand what I'm saying? Their concern is not us. If you're working class, their concern is not you. How clearer could it be? Then they wonder why they lost. Hell, 40% of us should have voted not for the Democrats. Well, you know what we did? We just voted for the couch. They just didn't vote for Trump. 20% of black men voted for Trump, but I'm sure another 40% of black men just stayed home on the couch. So yeah, that couch is a mother. That couch is a mother. All right, guys, let's move it on. Let's keep it moving. Hit the like button, guys. I'm the one that got to get the DMs. I'm the one to go get the DMs. What's our next topic? Our next topic. Oh, man. Is this about CNN? I think this is CNN. We'll find out. I like being surprised.
The reality is that so long as we live in a capitalist society, there's always going to be someone or a group of people that will do work that some of the rest of y'all don't want to do. These are the people that are really
The rest of y'all don't want to do.
making us great in this country.
Next on deck with Tim Black.
All you need to do is turn on the TV. Look at your show. It's nothing but fear-mongering. That's all the Democrats do. What's inflation doing? What's inflation? Up or down? Oh, it's down. What's the prices of eggs? Oh, they're down. What's the prices of mortgage? Oh, it's down, right? But we don't cover the positive things. We only cover the negative things to get everyone worked up. So here's two things. This could be a potential problem, but it actually could be a potential long-term solution. But when you don't want to cover the other half and all you talk about is the one half, of course that's what you're going to hear. I would prefer to give both sides of the story. That's what real news people used to do, is they would give both sides of the story. So one side of the story is, yes, potentially on the short term, listen, tariffs could cause us some discomfort, no question. But let's take a look at the long term. Do you think there's any benefits to the long term? I can share with you that there are benefits to the long term if we can get this on a level playing field. And that's what we need to do. Instead of just getting everyone all ginned up about, the sky is falling, let's talk about the vision on what we're actually trying to do, which is reverse the negative course and put America on track to be respected again.
Chairwoman, thank you so much for joining us. I wish you would watch our show more often, because you would see that we do have both sides on. Specifically, that's why you're on the air today, to present that side. That's what we do here at CNN. Chairwoman Linda McClain, thank you so much for the time.
Lisa, thank you.
Lisa.
You don't even know her name, Johnson. Damn, isn't that something? You get roasted by a guest, and then your comeback is, hey, we do talk to both sides. That's why we put you on, because we respect you. And then call it the wrong name. Respect starts by knowing her name, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, this sounds a whole lot like the Tim Black Show. And it sounds like stuff I was saying. Because all they're doing is focusing on the negative, because that's all Democrats got left. But CNN's supposed to not be for the Democrats or the Republicans. So why do they focus so much on the negative? Oh, maybe it's because they basically are a communication package for the Democratic Party. Oh my God. That's why we called them the Clinton News Network. Yeah, that started in 2015. That's where it came from. In fact, I was talking to Shamichael Singleton, and I told him just recently, last week, I said, if it wasn't for you and Scott Jennings, CNN would be unwatchable, because there'd be nobody pushing back on their BS. That's right. See, the Democratic Party has no other power other than the media arm. So they're going to be working the hell out of the media arm. One of the arms is going to be really buff. This is the legislative arm. It's going to look puny. But this one, the media arm, oh, they're gonna be working that arm out. That arm gonna be Arnold Schwarzenegger. That arm, man, that arm, woo. That right there, boy, that's gonna have some heat on it. Because that's all they got left. That's the only mechanism they have. That's the only thing they control is the media. And they're going to be controlling the hell out of it to spin a narrative and drive everybody crazy, make everybody lose their mind, make everybody feel like the world is coming to an end. Just like I started the broadcast telling you. Representative from Michigan, I never seen her before, but she's right about this. We probably don't agree on anything politically, but I agree with this. And if I agree with that one thing, we talking about that one thing in the conversation, agreeing with her don't make me a Trumper doofus. Makes me a person who listened to a segment and heard her point of view and found common ground on that point of view. It just so happens it's exactly how I feel. We'll see what happens with the TERFs. I don't know what's going to happen with them. Democrats act like they know. No, they have a narrative and they're not going to pivot from it. She said inflation is down. How many people didn't know inflation was down? I knew it was down, but you wouldn't know that if you watch CNN and MSNBC. You think the sky was falling. You think inflation was going up. The way they've been talking about Trump is doing so bad in his first 6 weeks. What the hell? It's crazy. So yeah, we don't know exactly what the effects of tariffs are going to be, but I can only imagine, and I get it, what she's saying about the pain, because if the prices go up on goods and services, which is true, price of services might go up on certain items, on certain sales prices might go up, on the cost of materials, what happened, steel, iron, other things like that. They might go up, but here's the thing. If people buy less of it because the prices went up, the companies that import might say, hey, man, we need to move our business to America. We need to, because America buys everything. We are the #1 consumer on the planet. And look, and so, like, if we're the #1 consumer on the planet, nobody wants to miss out on the market of selling to us. And if that's the case, maybe they'll move their manufacturing here. You know, when they did the NAFTA, when those trade deals that sent jobs overseas, there was pain then too. But the long game was just more pain. If the tariffs work, I'm not saying they don't, if they don't work, then get him. If they don't work, we can all jump on them, right? But people get to try their ideas. Why? If they're not illegal, they get to try the ideas. Why? Because they won. When you win, you get to try your idea. Right? Isn't that how this works? Isn't that the way it's supposed to go? If you win, when we played hide and go seek, and you lost and you had to count, you had to go find us. Because you lost. Well, the Democrats lost. Now they got to go find votes. So if the tariffs work out, and there's already been some signals that some major corporations are going to be moving operations within America. And guess what happens? If they move those operations within America, more American jobs. Can outsource manufacturing jobs. People got to physically be here to do the manufacturing work. Those jobs that Jasmine Crockett just says black people don't like to do because we won't go to college. Then come out and make nothing and go be a substitute teacher somewhere. No diss to substitute teachers, but your liberal arts degree, your political science degree, I mean, your psychology degree, like, I like to talk, so I went to college for psychology. Okay. Yeah, I did something. I'm gonna leave it alone. No one cares, Tim. The point is, she's right, he's wrong. He also got roasted on his own show because, yeah, you get a little, you try to get a little cheeky, and then you don't even know the sister's name. That look bad, Johnson. How you not gonna know her name? You don't have a card in front of you? That's embarrassing. I got a lot of respect for you, person I don't know, whose name I can't recall. But that's why I want you on here. There it is, Johnson. There it is. Give it up for that, Johnson. Let's move on, Johnson. Move on, Tim. Move on. Hit the like button if that made any sense to you. Hit the like button. Maybe it was a little bit of fresh air for you. Don't let them drive you crazy with the negative talk. We'll see. We will see. Now, our goal tonight is 400 likes on a Friday night. Let's get to 400 likes. If you're watching this, share this out. If you're on X or Facebook, wherever you are, share it with a friend. Let people know that you're watching the Tim Black Show. Let the algorithm know, too. The algorithm need to know that we're doing something. We're doing some major business over here. All right. I did that. Let's see. Where are we at over here? Where are we at? Where are we at, Tim Black's Wolfpack? Where y'all at? Where y'all at? You know it. Okay. Church Talk Unlimited said it's hard to function with an uh-oh perspective. Thanks. Blessings. Thank you, my brother. Blessings to you as well. You know what I'm saying? Yo. All right, let's go, Johnson. Next topic.
My apologies. Have a good weekend.
Next on deck with Tim Black.
Here's now, I want to ask you about alleged CEO killer Luigi Mangione. He's apparently been receiving donations for his legal defense fund, and most recently, an anonymous individual gave the defense fund $36,500, beating the previous record to this fund of $30,000. Who on earth is giving this money, and where's it going?
Well, a lot of people are, and the reason we know that is because as of 4:30 today, the site where these donations are being accepted said they were up to $723,000, and 596 more. So they're passing, $750,000, and most of these, Jake, are $5, $10, the occasional $1,000, 50 or 100, but each one comes with what essentially is this note of admiration and love, and that we will always be here for you. And even this $36,000 donation came with kind of a paragraph about how they felt the case was overcharged, shouldn't be a death penalty, terrorism charges, that due process.
What intrigues me about the case is how unified folks' responses are regardless of strata. In corporate America, for instance, there has been widespread doubt of potential prosecutorial mishandling and overcharging. I've also been surprised at the almost ubiquitous nature of support towards a suspect that I would expect to be quite bifurcated in this type of litigation. Quite exceptional. $36,000, Johnson. Out.
Process was being skipped, that the investigation was flawed, and so on. So what you're seeing is still a groundswell for an individual who's charged with shooting a man in the back.
It's so strange. I mean, one can have legitimate concerns and even anger about the health insurance industry in this country and still not support murder. Bizarre. We're in weird times, John. Thanks so much. Appreciate
quite
it.
Bizarre.
Oh, you goofball. That wasn't a man. That was a killer. Yeah, that guy was a killer. That CEO was a killer. He just didn't have the guts to do it with his own hands. He used a pen to kill you. Yeah, man, when you don't approve operations, we don't perform, when you don't approve life-saving, potentially life-extending operations, you are a killer. Son of a bitch. Get what I'm saying? Jake Top act like he don't understand the concept. Like he don't get it. This is something preposterous. I can't believe that people don't feel sorry for the guy who probably had their grandmother died, a year or two earlier than she needed to, or maybe 5 years earlier than she needed to. Yeah, I don't know why people aren't angry at the guy who took out the guy who okayed people dying earlier for money. Yeah, Jack, you can't seem to wrap your head around the concept, bro. Really? Never heard of, like, I don't know, Robin Hood? Robin Hood used to rob from the rich and give to the poor. Why do people hide Robin Hood? Why? It's a mythical story, but we all know it, right? Maybe some young people don't know. They're like, Tim, what the hell is Robin Hood? A mythical story of a robber, him and a band of merry men who were avengers, basically. They rob the rich and give to the poor. So if you understand that concept, you got to understand the concept of someone doing what Luigi Mangione did. Now, look, I don't condone violence. I'm not calling for violence. I ain't supporting violence. And most people would say if Luigi Mangione would have talked to him, and this is all alleged because he played not guilty. My son told me that Luigi played not guilty. So he's saying he ain't do it. But so we'll say allegedly. But most people, if Luigi Mangione was a friend of theirs, or we knew him and they had a chance to talk to him before he did it, we say, don't do it. Don't do it. It's not worth it, man. Let it go, man. So it's not like we cheer for him doing that, but it's already done now. It's similar to somebody, there are countless stories that I cover, man, where there's been something heinous done to for instance, to a child. Like there was a story I covered maybe 6 months ago. I remember it. You might ring a bell. There was a dad whose daughter, I think, was disappeared, or something happened to his daughter, and he went and tracked down the guy who did it, and then he disappeared the guy. Now, we don't usually apply. He picked dude up and kidnapped him and then disappeared him. We don't usually apply such activity of disappearing people, but the circumstances were just so mwah. Mwah. And after the fact, you're like, hey, well, I get it. And that's what a lot of people are saying about Luigi Mangione. To the tune of $750,000, Johnson. $750,000. Now I know what I'm doing wrong with my fundraising. I know how I can increase my fundraising. Do something to go to jail? No, can't do that, man. My old ass, and that need to be sent up at nobody's cell if I can help it. Some things can't be helped. Try to stay out of harm's way. Stay all the way out the way. Ain't nothing cute about being, of a certain age, eating a bologna sandwich in an orange jumpsuit, if you can help it. All right, y'all, give it up for that segment. Let's keep it moving. Tim Black Show, Johnson. The Tim Black Show is brought to you by you. Go to Join Tim Black, become a member of the Tim Black Wolfpack. We got great people, man. I'm going to tell y'all. It wasn't for these people that I'm about to put on the board, I don't know if this show would even be happening, Johnson. Because you best believe I don't get a lot of sponsorship opportunities. I don't know what it is. Is it something I said? Yeah, for some reason the phone don't be ringing off the hook with opportunities to sponsor. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is, man. Something I can't put my finger on what it is. Well, that's right, the content. So these folks down here, these are my stars. These are my stars, man. I want to thank all my supporters of the Tim Black Show who gives to the show. These are the people giving, I think $20 and up. So those people are amazing, man. Y'all ready to move on? Can we move on to the next topic? Yeah. On a Friday night, Johnson, I know a lot of people are out enjoying their evening. I like to think we're enjoying ours too, huh? We're enjoying ours. We're doing pretty good. Let's keep it going, Johnson.
Next on deck with Tim Black.
Have you received any kind of explanation as to
Oh, now, you know, man, I've been watching Stephen A. Smith, and it's very interesting what's happening with this guy. Very interesting. Like, look, man, somebody told Stephen A. he could be, he's polling really well with Democrats. Yeah, that someone told him that, and I guess it got good to him. Now Stephen A. is trying to sound like a politician. And look, and I was like, get out of here, Steven. Sit your ass down. Come on, man. Stop playing, man. Sit down. But then I started thinking about it. Like, look, he didn't ask them to poll him. They polled him. They put him in the polls themselves. Somebody says to you, hey, I can't imagine that was something Stephen A. was just walking around thinking about. I wonder if I should run for president one day. And so I don't know what's happening with it, but here goes an interview. Stephen A. on his podcast, he had Tom Homan, that's the border czar. Had him on the show. They're going to have some interesting conversations, Johnson. And you know me, man. I got a comment.
John, thanks so much.
Quite bizarre.
Next on deck with Tim Black.
Have you received any kind of explanation as to why former President Biden literally went against what former President Barack Obama did during his presidency? And the numbers show he actually deported more immigrants out of this country than Trump did. Yet Biden comes into office in 2020 and he went completely against what Obama had done. You ever received intel explanation as to why he did that?
You all know that Homan worked for Obama and he worked for Trump, just for context.
That's a great question. You're the first ones to ask me that question, right? Now, I surmise, I have an opinion that I think this administration thought these millions of people are going to be future Democratic voters. But one of the things Biden also did, in addition to destroying all the programs we put in place to give us the most secure border, he overturned the Trump census rule, which means millions of people they released in sanctuary cities will be counted in the next census, which is going to result in what? More seats in the House for the damage. So I truly believe they saw a future political benefit from this.
I did not know this part. I was today years old when I found this out. And I found it out because Homan. I did not hear it on MSNBC with someone just talking and educating me. I didn't hear it on CNN or CBS or any other liberal media space. Because it's an indictment of the Democratic Party, isn't it? Maybe if I actually listened to more Fox or Newsmax or News Nation, I would have heard it. He said that Joe Biden changed the census rules so that all the migrants that were put into those blue cities would give them more representatives. Makes sense now? Makes sense now? Diabolical, Johnson. Diabolical. So displace working class people, displace, suck up resources. So what? So what? From the people that are there that need them, just so you can get more seats in your Congress for Democrats in Democratic districts. It was all strategic. Now, Tom says that's what he thinks. He didn't say it was a fact, but it sounds pretty spot on. Yeah.
Census rule, which means millions of people they released in sanctuary cities will be counted in the next census, which is going to result in what? More seats in the House for the damage. So I truly believe they saw a future political benefit from this. But you're exactly right. And I've said this. Why do I think he did it on purpose? Because Joe Biden was vice president under Barack Obama when he had those record removals. Alejandro Mayorkas was a deputy secretary under Obama when he had those removals. And we had families. We had thousands of families coming across the border every day. How did we stop it? We built family residential centers. We held them long enough to see a judge. 90% lost a case, 90%. So we put them in an airplane, sent them home, the border numbers tanked. So both those men knew how we solved that crisis. When they came back in, as now the secretary and the president, what did they do? The complete opposite. They didn't detain, they released. They didn't make them see a judge, and they weren't removing them. So they did the complete opposite of what they knew worked under President Obama.
Wow. Let me ask, you're considered one of the masterminds of the first Trump administration's infamous zero tolerance.
Hold tight. Let's hold tight because I got another part to it. So, is that shedding any light on the situation for any folks who were kind of fuzzy on it? Now, remember, Holman worked for Obama and he worked for Trump. Can't tell me he's a Trump MAGA head or anything and let that cloud everything he's saying, because he also worked for Obama. Okay? So I don't know how much closer can you get to somebody who's pretty much just doing their job the way they see the best way to do their job. Okay? And under the direction of the president as well. He don't just do his job unilaterally. But that being said, makes a whole lot of sense to me. I keep saying that, Biden did what he did intentionally. And it wasn't to help us. It wasn't to help you. It wasn't even to help Jasmine Crockett's dumb idea of building houses and picking grapes. Okay? It was to politically help the Democratic Party. And he knew what not to do to keep the numbers down because he just saw it as vice president under Obama. So everything was intentional. And then what did Kamala say? Kamala said, when they asked her, hey, Kamala, would you do anything different than Joe Biden? She didn't say, yeah, I would have did different with the border. She said, I can't think of a thing I would do. Nothing comes to mind. So all of you people that are sitting back, licking your wounds, going, oh my God, we could have had Kamala. Well, if you wanted the border to be tightened, it turned out the best way it could, given those two options, right? Nothing happened on accident. It was intentional. It was a plan. The intended objective was what was accomplished. And I believe, and I said this to Mrs. Black, I think I said it on the show, I have a hard time believing anything that happens in America happens by accident. Hard time believing it. And when I say that, I don't mean random people doing shit. I'm talking about things that happen from the top down. I don't believe in coincidence when it comes to government actions, presidential executive orders, and other decisions made by the administration. I don't believe in inconsequential the wind blew, something's going on, there must be a ghost around. I don't believe in that. I believe in intention, strategy, point by point, a mission. I believe in it was what they wanted to have happen. The outcome was intentional. With all the money America has, we print our own money. As corrupt as it is, you really think they don't achieve the goals they want to really achieve? I've heard it said, poverty is a policy choice for a reason. You don't think that America doesn't know it could end poverty if it wanted to? You don't think that when they're printing the money out or when they're sending big checks to Zelensky, they don't know that they could send those checks to the cities or the states where we have the highest homelessness and wipe that shit out? You don't think they know that? You don't think that crosses the mind? Come on, Johnson. We got people living in La La Land. Seriously, man. I want to thank all of you because you're not in La La Land. Let's go to the second clip.
Tolerance policy, which led to the separation. You're considered one of the masterminds of the first Trump administration's infamous zero tolerance policy, which led to the separation of thousands of migrant children from their parents in the eyes of many at the very least. The idea led to the separation of more than, I think, 4,000 children from their parents, and some were lamenting that some of them were put in cages. How do you answer these questions? For those that don't know, how do you answer questions like that, like I just posed to you, in terms of 4,000 children being separated from their parents?
Absolutely. So where does zero tolerance come from? Zero tolerance came from this. 31% of women that make their journey get raped by the criminal cartels. Children were dying on that border every day. Dying. either drowning in a river, dying making that journey. Children were sexually assaulted, and children were dying in the desert. You know, they made that journey, and a lot of women and children not only died, many were sexually assaulted. So we said, look, how can we save lives? How can we stop the sexual assault of children? So we said, look, let's prosecute them because it's a crime to enter this country illegally. So if we prosecute them and put them in jail, maybe the numbers go down, maybe less will come. And it worked. Zero tolerance, that the numbers of families putting themselves in harm's way and putting themselves in the hands of criminal cartels dropped significantly. However, the sad part about it, the unfortunate part about it, is that when you prosecute a parent and put them in jail, the child won't go with them. And I'll say this, I started as a police officer in New York. Police agencies across this country separate families 1,000 times a day across this country because the child doesn't go to jail with a parent. And I've said during my testimony, and one time I was testifying at Hill, when I was a cop in New York, when I went to domestic violence call and I arrested the father, I separated that family. Child can't go to jail with him. When I arrested a DUI and he had a child in the car, I separated that family. It's an unfortunate and saddest part of law enforcement. Families get separated when the parents get arrested. So we do let the families 1,000 times a day in this country with Americans, but they want a different set of rules for illegal aliens.
Yeah, they do.
But the whole intent of doing this was to save lives with less sexual assaults on women and children. That was the whole purpose for it. But they keep harping on that Trump's family separation policy. But and you're right, about 4,000. But they don't talk about the 500,000, 500,000 separations that this administration was responsible for, because they sent a message to the whole world. If you're a child and you cross this country illegally, you're not going to be deported. We'll deliver you to the very same people who paid a criminal cartel to smuggle you into this country. So, you know, what we did was try to save lives and decrease sexual assaults. What they did was send a message to the whole world. Child can cross the border. We'll get them to the final destination at government expense and reward the people who paid the criminal cartels. And that's why the numbers exploded, because there's no consequence. We had a consequence. They didn't.
That's an incredibly compelling answer that you just gave. I can't refute it. No one should, as far as I'm concerned, sir. But I would ask.
Next on deck.
Yeah, it is a compelling answer, Stephen A. Smith. And no, you can't refute it because it's what happened. Right? And I've talked about that on this show many a times, and it's good to hear it. I guess it's different hearing it come out the mouth of Holman. You know, I mean, it feels good to me to know I wasn't crazy. I don't watch a lot of content creators to know what their take on it is. I don't poll test my opinions on news or my philosophy or my theories on what's going on or my arguments, right? So it's dope to hear the border czar saying something that I said, which is, we lock up Black Americans all the time. We lock up Americans all the time. We're the number one incarcerator of people. It's ironic that we're the number one incarcerator in the Western world. Only rivaled by like Saudi Arabia. That's not the Western world, but like Saudi Arabia. There's a couple countries that do more. But they're not in democracy type situations. But be that as it may, we're the ones, when we're complaining about people that come into our country illegally being separated, but we separate families all the day at the highest rate of any other country in the Western world, in NATO, for instance, in the European Union, for instance. And we're going to sit here and I get gaslit and listen to AOC with crocodile tears about people but no crocodile tears for all the Americans to go through the same thing. Quietly, all the time. You know, it just boggles the mind, Johnson. It boggles the mind. It's just facts. It's facts. Something as petty as DUI can get you separated from your kids. In fact, it can get your kids taken away if it's happened more than once. You know, CPS decided that maybe you're not a good parent. Well, we're just talking about just the time that if you can't bail out, if you can't bond out, and you in jail, ain't nobody sending your kids to live with you, setting up special arrangements. And most of America wouldn't even think for that to happen. Most of America be like, what, whatever. Can't do the crime, can't do the time, don't do the crime. but not for the illegal aliens or the illegal immigrants or the undocumented. We got 3 names. Just the idea that we got 3 different names we got to call people that shouldn't even be in the country. He just said 90% of the people that claim for asylum get sent back. And whenever I'm having this conversation with people, because I'm advocating for Black America sitting on the bottom of so many of these occupations. We talk about the housing dilemma. We talk about the growth rate in housing, how Black folks are behind in owning the homes. There's a large reason for the upper middle class that we do have, that we see with the boomers, is that they were able to buy homes. But due to the redlining, Black Americans are so far behind in home ownership, particularly in legacy ownership being passed down from their parents, because it does matter where you come from. Your life is not just your life, it's the life of your parents, yours, and then your children's. And nobody knows that more than people with a little bit of money or a lot of money. Only the broke people say dumb things like, just get it out the dirt. Yeah, the DuPonts didn't get it out the dirt. Trump didn't get it out the dirt, goofy. He got it out his parent, out his dad. Started him off. And I'm not shaming that. That's not a shame. That's how it's supposed to be. But when you deny other people the right or the opportunity to have that type of wealth, well, then you're creating something, aren't you? And remember what I said about intentionality. So anyway, back to my point. When I'm talking about immigration, there are people that just look at it emotionally, but they're not looking at it emotionally from the Black standpoint of jobs and sectors of jobs that Black people are basically being shut out of. There's a direct correlation between immigration and Black unemployment and Black incarceration rates. Do some research on that. You'll see some stuff. But the emotion is behind the immigrant. There's no emotion behind Black people not having jobs, being incarcerated, lower standard of living. There's no emotion behind that because that's seen as regular and normal. And if you talk to some conservatives, they say it's because of bad choices. So it's not like I'm just like, not like I'm rooting for the conservatives on this point. But what I'm saying is there's a lot of people that don't know they got so many blind spots. So many blind spots. I'm advocating for Black America, and a lot of people doing that, particularly, I'm going to say this. Even the Black people that call themselves leftists or progressives, they're not championing for Black Americans to the extent they go all the way up until the point where it might challenge their beliefs on how they got to support immigrants or LGBTQ. Either one of those groups. And then they back all the way the hell down. And to me, that's what separates it. They do all this talking. They'll talk about Palestinians. They'll talk about the LGBTQ. They'll talk about immigration. And they'll be passionate. And they have a heart like a lion. And they'll placate about Black people, struggles of civil rights. DI, they say they think that's Black. That's why they don't want it and all this stuff. But yeah, when we start talking about, well, you know, what about Black people on these jobs as immigrants? And it's an issue. We're going to address this. Clearly, it's being done to just help your parties politically. What about the impact on the resources, the local resources of those areas where Black Americans are suffering or having harder times because of it? And then it gets quiet as hell. It's silence then. No one got anything to say all of a sudden because their advocacy really isn't for Black America. If it was, they'd be in harm's way like me. They'd have to rebuild their brands because their audience ain't ready for it. But anyway, that's all. I'm glad Stephen A. sat down and had this conversation with Tom Homan. It was important to have that out there. I hope just for that one bit so people understand, because we got people walking around just dumb. Joe Biden and the Democrats really care about the migrants. He just really cared. And them people running from a bad life, and they need asylum. 90% of them got sent back because the asylum claim did not pan out. It was just economic for the most part. That's what I'm assuming. 90%, 9 out of 10 of them were sent back. And Biden said, oh, we can't have that. So under me, we're going to let them stay here while we figure out the asylum part. And then they just go missing. And we count them in the census and we all win. And if you don't go along with it, you ain't black. Next topic. Hit the like button if this makes any sense, Johnson. I know it's tough territory. It's tough. Tim don't pull no punches.
With Tim Black.
Congresswoman Maxine Waters is urging Democrats to hit the streets and fight back against Trump, but her remarks have MAGA accusing her of fomenting violence. Listen.
I'm worried that Trump is on the edge of creating a civil war. He alluded to it more than once. He alluded to the fact that if he did not get reelected, that there could be a civil war. Now, this president is putting us in a position where hungry people are going to be on the street, where nonprofits who were waiting for their checks are not going to get them. When that happens, what does Trump expect? Oh, I believe he expects violence. I believe he expects confrontation. I believe he's working toward a civil war. We're not going to get goaded. We're not going to get tricked into that. We're going to continue to do our work.
That's what you think it is, Johnson? You think you think that it's a trick to get you into a civil war? If there's going to be a civil war, it's going to be poor people waking up and seeing what's happening with these rich fools. That's what it's going to be. It's going to be that type of civil war. Let's see what this panel talking about, though. Let me know what you think in the comments section, y'all.
So that has some on the MAGA wing of the country pretty upset. But I don't know, it seems to me pretty clear at the end.
The MAGA wing of the country. I'm not MAGA, and I think it's kind of silly to say. Because what's the basis of the Civil War? Black people and white people? Is that what we're talking about? What's the Civil War over? Now, I remember when Trump said, at least I remember one occasion, he was talking about his supporters, I thought. He was talking about the rest of the country, like this the fact that it's like a culture war, I would say, in a direction of the country where you want the country to go. But what would be the basis of the war? I need clarity. And those little clips that you gratuitously clipped, I don't know, to show her in a certain light. And I saw the flashing. I don't know what she was really talking about. But civil war based on what? Because I don't know anybody, what? Because Juneteenth, what? What are you talking about? Black Lives Matter sign in the street in D.C. being picked up? Who cares? Like, these are dumb things. Having it there didn't mean anything, and picking it up doesn't mean anything. Like, what are you talking about? It didn't save anybody's life. It didn't put any food on anyone's table. It didn't save anyone any type of heartache. It didn't open a school. It didn't provide shoes for needy kids. Having that shit on the ground did nothing. But that's all I've been hearing about coming out of D.C. lately about this. Well, they did this. These are the most symbolic losers you ever want to run across. Bunch of highly educated fools worried about symbolism. That's because they don't have other issues in their life to really be concerned about. They can argue and be upset and be gaslit and clutch pearls and head on fire running down the street over paint on a street. Now, I've been on the record saying Derek Chauvin is where his ass need to be. So don't come at me with the goofy shit. You got people that watch, that always look for something they try to say, trying to put me in the Tim Scott category just because you can't make it. But what I'm saying is, it's a certain type of elitist moron that wants to focus on something dumb like that was symbolic to begin with. Are we going to grow up and look for tangible issues, tangible things that impact us? Can we do that? I'm sorry. Let's keep going, Johnson. You might not even care about the BLM paint on the street. But it's just something I've been hearing people talk a lot about, like, dude, we upset, we're angry. Huh? Huh? All the gentrification in DC, all the problems in DC, and that's what you're complaining about? Man, you are lucky if you got time, you got room in your life to complain about paint on a street. George Floyd ain't even from DC. What are you talking about? Breonna Taylor's not from DC. What are you even talking about?
There, she said, we're not going to go into that territory. So.
Why bring it up? I mean, she's hardly the first Democrat to bring it up. Hakeem Jeffries said earlier this year, we're going to fight in the streets. Anna Presley, Jasmine Crockett, other members of the Democratic conference have continuously alluded to violence because they're so angry about the Trump agenda.
I think it's unfair to say that they're alluding to violence. When Jeffries was saying that, he was talking about going to the streets in protest.
He said
which
fight
is
in the streets.
It's a political fight.
That's not what.
I remember when Jasmine Crockett and Marjorie Taylor Greene got into an argument. She said, we can go outside. And everybody said she was talking about fighting. And all she said is we can go outside. So now you're saying Maxine say fight, or Hakeem Jeffries says we can fight in the street. And you're like, nah, that's not what he means. He doesn't mean really fight. He means, fight politically, in the streets, protests. Oh, well, maybe Marjorie Taylor Greene might have a conversation. But you couldn't say that because, because you're a sellout if you say that. As if Marjorie Taylor Greene really wanted to beat somebody up. I think she'd be at the gym a lot, though. Maybe she did. I don't know. But see what I'm saying, guys? Maybe Marjorie Taylor Greene did want to talk about fighting. But my point is, if you're going to say Marjorie meant fight, which she said after Jasmine Crockett told her she was badly built, after she got roasted by Jasmine Crockett, okay? When she said we go outside, there was a whole slew of Democrats saying Marjorie Taylor Greene threatened bodily harm on a congressperson. But Hakeem Jeffries said fight in the street. Maxine Waters, that ain't her first time. She been saying shit like that. That's actually tame for Maxine. Maxine was way worse the first time Trump got elected. Go up and find them in the streets and get in their faces and yell at them and get on them. She was losing her mind. That's when they start calling them Mad Max. This is Maxine being nice. This is sweet Maxine right here, man. This is with sugar on it. That's nothing compared to what she was saying back in 2015, I think it was. She was outside of the rallies and go and get them in the streets. If you see them at a store, at a restaurant, you go up to them and you get on them. You get them, you shout them down. You get. Like, Maxine, calm down, sister. Before you be in the upper room now. Calm down. Come on. Downshift. This will be the last speech you give, sister, and you go get them. And Democrats made excuses for it, too. They're good at excuses.
That's clearly not the context.
You can defend it, but if Trump uses the word fight, everyone loses their minds.
I want to remind you both that it was...
That was a good one. It's true. And Trump said, fight, fight, fight. What do you mean by fight? Then he got shot in the ear. They're like, fight, fight, fight. They're like, what's he mean by fight? What's he trying to say? He wants a civil war. He said fight. See, that's what I'm saying, man. I just get tired of the hypocrisy. And both sides are hypocritical as hell. Don't get it twisted. Both parties suck. I am not here to make you be a Republican. I want black people to become free agents. I want black people to become free agents. Who's a free agent in the NBA right now? Who's a free agent? I'll take football too. Who's a popular free agent? We need to be like that person. Whoever the free agent is. Real talk. That's what we need, man. We need black America to become free agents. Because All I'm saying is we need to be at a point where we say, hey, I'm looking for a candidate. I'm looking for a candidate that is gonna do something for my community. What you gonna do? And hear them out, and then look over here. Okay, I'm looking for a candidate. Stay right there. I'm looking for a candidate that's gonna do something for my community. What you gonna do? Now, if both of them don't say anything that make any sense, you be like, see you next election. You tip on out the door. You tip on out the door. What's so hard about that? America, come on now, making sense, right? You know what I'm saying? Look, all I'm saying is I'm not trying to tell Black Americans to become Republicans. That's just what my detractors say, because they don't have no honest rebuttal to my arguments. What I'm saying is we need to become free agents. And a free agent, this is what I mean. Every election, we look at either side or whoever's running and we go, so you want me to vote for you, huh? What you gonna do for my community in these areas? Oh, really? Oh, interesting. Okay, hold that thought. Excuse me. Hello. You want my vote? Okay. What are you gonna do in these 3 areas or whatever? What are you gonna do for my community in these 3 areas? Hear them out. Oh, interesting. Okay. And then you let it swirl around in your head. You decide which one had the better plan. And if neither one of them had a better plan, then you know what you can do. Sit your ass on the couch. Or start a new party, right? Because there's other people going to be running. Maybe you invest in another party. Help them get their numbers up. And that's the reason why people demonize that talk, because those people that demonize it are operatives or goofies. So you're the operative, that your job is to be against anybody talking about independence from the Democratic Party. How dare you talk about being your own person, making your own mind up? We like the groupthink, where we control what you do. And Al Sharpton gets a cut. And Roland Martin gets a cut. Or they're goofy. They mind controlled into thinking that that's voting for the same party for the last 50 years and somehow helped us, when it hasn't. It hasn't. Nah, it hasn't. So anyway, it makes sense. Let's go back to Abby. Abby, and they're about to get real, I think.
That y'all are all sitting here today.
I'm not arguing they're not angry. I'm just telling you mobs like this are not representative of. I can defend it, but if Trump.
Okay, so what's going to happen now is they're going to move in this conversation to about what's happening with the Republicans in the town halls. And I don't know if you saw this, but the Republicans have been getting the business, Johnson. Now, I don't know who these people are at these town halls. I can't confirm, right? Ain't nobody calling the people in the town hall to find out who they really are. Now, we all know the Democrats are very much prone to busting in people. But I don't know if that's what's happening. But it does appear that there are people showing up at Republican events showing all their backside. I can't believe I said backside. But yeah, they're showing out, they're interrupting, they're calling out, they're getting loud. One guy had to be removed. He was a veteran. I thought he had a PTSD moment. He went buck wild. Said Trump is trying to hurt veterans. He just lost his mind. They had to get him removed from the town hall. So that's what they're about to talk about. Let's do this.
Uses the word fight. Everyone loses
I
their
want to
minds.
remind you both that it was
reason that y'all are all sitting here today.
I'm not arguing they're not angry. I'm just telling you mobs like this are not representative of overall congressional
districts. Are you really
districts.
calling them mobs
Did you see the video?
No.
It was like a mob to me.
Okay, all right. Are you going to call them mobs for doing their democratic duty and showing up in a town hall
if you have to get thrown
and
out
yelling
of something,
at their
you're a mob.
elected official?
If
they
you
can
get
yell
thrown out,
Voters have emotions and care. How dare these voters have emotions?
I don't care if they have emotions, but no one here at this table can tell me what the voter registration breakdown in that room was. And I'm telling you, it's not representative of the district.
But it's also counterproductive.
People can show up if they want to show up.
I agree.
Next on deck with Tim Black.
Yeah, I'm not saying like, yo, People that show up at the events and they carry on, that's the cost of doing business. It's just what happens. It's what happens, Johnson. And yeah, you should be able to work through it or whatever. Like, it is what it is. I'm hearing talk that they're not even letting there be dialogue back and forth about what the concerns or what the questions are. And if that's the case, you just had their asses removed. What else can you do? You know, but yeah, I support people at town halls voicing their opinion because you have no way of knowing. Now, if you got evidence that the DNC is going on Craigslist or whatever, Facebook groups or whatever, and paying people to come out and disrupt events, release it. That'd be great. But until that said time, you know, I support people coming out to town halls and showing, you know, and having their say. You gotta let that happen. And if you're a punk ass politician and you can't take a heckler, come on, man. You make a lot of money. You on a national stage and you there to represent your district. Well, part of representing your district is listen to people tell you what you don't want to hear. It is what it is.
There are actually people in my comments telling me that Jasmine Crockett is fighting for my civil rights. Bitch, I am an American. How?
I just had a lady today complaining about my language. She must not be on the internet often. I never call women bees on this show. Yeah? She said, Tim Black, your language is so vulgar. It's so vulgar. Like, really? My language is vulgar? My mama watches my show. I don't get that bad. You go ahead over there. You go sit down. It's okay. Go watch Rolling. I get it. This woman's going off. She going hammer, lamb. She said she ain't fighting for me. I'm an American citizen. She fighting for migrants.
Is her fighting for illegals, fighting for my civil rights? How is her voting for transgenders to play in women's sports, fighting for my civil rights? Are y'all delusional? How is a woman that hates the country that our ancestors built through slavery fighting for my civil rights? She's fighting hard to destroy this country that my ancestors built for free. And you mean to tell me she's fighting for my civil rights? I don't think so, baby. And Booker T. Washington was so fucking right, and I hated to hear him say that when he said what he said about black people voting and black people being involved in politics. I have never saw fight so hard, a group fight so hard for the economic decline of the country that was built by my ancestors for free. And now I can get a piece of the pie? No. What?
Now they want you to get a pie to everybody.
How many of you are planning
streets? Anna Presley, Jasmine Crockett.
Right, and I hated to hear him say that when he said what he said about black people voting and black people being involved in politics. I have never saw fight so hard, a group fight so hard for the economic decline of the country that was built by my ancestors for free. And now I can get a piece of the pie? No. What my ancestors went through will not be in vain. Since y'all love identity politics so much. At this point, I'm convinced that if you still voting Democrat and you black, you are under a generational curse. It ain't working, boo-boo. It's time to switch it up. It is absolutely insanity for you to keep voting for the same exact thing and expecting different results. It ain't working, babe. Give it up. I literally used to go in there and just vote Democrat because I didn't know what the fuck I was talking about. Y'all don't do that. Don't be mean. Look that shit up. See what is going on. Find out policies. Get away from identity politics. It is destroying our community. Stop voting with your emotions. Vote logically. Democrats operate off of your emotions. They are playing with your emotions. Prime example, Andrew Gillum in Florida. I was riding hard for this nigga and he embarrassed me. He out here doing meth and sleeping with trannies.
Okay. Maybe this is going farther. Come on, sister. I don't want to cut you now because this is good, but damn.
Get out your feelings so you can get in your bag, okay? It ain't working for our people. Move on. Try something different, nigga.
I don't have to leave it there. Oh, it's over. Jesus Christ. That's crazy. Somebody said, Tim, like, you just tone it down. You too much. My ears are sensitive. I gotta go to church. They can't have you in my head using language I've heard or said myself many times. But this woman, but look, let's talk about their points. Let's talk about what she talked about. Let's not talk about the way she talked about it. Let's talk about the point she made. I do see a lot of it as being real. Yeah, because Andrew Gillum, he was a bust, and that was sad. And what he did, he screwed the pooch, and looks bad. And I'm surprised he's back out here amongst us, giving political advice. But anyway, let's move past him. Let's move on. I think it's crazy, and I've been saying it, that and there's a growing sentiment among Black Americans that they're seeing things more her way. You know, the way I talk, it seems like crazy. It sounds crazy to some people. That's just because their circle is full of people that listen to Al Sharpton, that actually watch Al Sharpton on Saturday. Politics Nation. Ain't nobody in this nation. How you gonna have a nation with 200,000 people? You know what I'm saying? That's his number, something like that. Look, the point is this, guys. I don't know if everyone's gonna be there at the same time. In fact, I know they're not, right? But a lot of us are getting to the point where we're starting to see things similarly, and we're detesting the Democratic Party because it only makes sense. What this sister says only makes sense if you go to a place and you give it your money, your time, and what you get out of it is not equipped, it's not equal to what you put into it, then there's going to be resentment and anger and frustration and bitterness about it. And that's all it is. And actually, in any other scenario, people would understand it. But in the politics, we got Democrats who are paid to talk you out of telling them to go jump off a cliff, which is all that people are here to do. That's all Roland. That's Roland's entire job. There's so many others, not just him. I don't want to keep saying his name. There's so many people that are a part of this. There's this pastor someone told me about. This guy is Reverend Shield. Okay. Anything Democrats do, he there to wipe their nose. If a Democrat sneeze, he there with a napkin to wipe their nose for him. This guy's ridiculous. If he don't have a napkin, he'll take his shirt off and clear their nose for him because he is a shield to the further extreme. And it's a brother too. It's a brother. He's a serious shield, just horrific. You know, and what gets me is when they talk like they support Black Americans, like they try to use the vernacular of Black people, and then we supporting policies that hurt us, that make it harder for Black Americans. If you're supporting vast immigration, you're not helping Black people because we're not immigrating, are we? Think about it. It's kind of basic, right? And if we look at it, a limited amount of resources being allocated was kind of a no-brainer. So all the pastors, all the reverends that love to talk politics, which I didn't even know, I was raised that that's not something really reverends or even pastors are supposed to be so involved in. But I guess it's so much money in it, you just got to do it. I mean, how is she gonna get a kickback from the Democratic Party if you don't talk politics? Like that goofball Jamal Bryant, I feel like it's a starter kit out there for everybody Black who want to sell out Black people. And you'll get a certain amount of whatever, if you have a certain amount of audience, if you sign on the dotted line. But I love this sister's spirit. I love her realness. It's just the language got a little, But people be okay. They heard worse before. They heard things before. I'm not responsible for her language. I didn't watch her video first. Just the very first seconds. Jasmine Crockett's not fighting for us. She's fighting for herself and fighting for the other groups that are mentioned. And that ain't the same thing, Johnson. And this idea that the people on the bottom in America should be nice enough to forget they on the bottom and help other people. That's crazy talk. You know, if your house is on fire, you'd want your house put out. You wouldn't be like, well, my house on fire, but hey, let's walk these kids to the playground and watch them play. I need to push them on the slide a little bit, make them have fun. But don't you want to take care of your house? Hell no. I'm here to shepherd. I'm here to help these kids go play in on the dirt bikes. Somebody got to do it, but don't they got parents? Hey, they got parents, but I'm going to do it because I want to give back. But what about your house? Who cares about my house? Don't you got kids? Don't you have people you love? What they going to have? They're going to have nothing. And we hope for God to take care of them in the next life. Because I got to go down here and I got to wash my neighbor's car. Because this car needs some, I know how to wax it, make it shine, baby. So that's how dumb these people be sounding to me. And I'm jaded, man. This is how they sound to me. They sound like fools to me. Like, dog, they have not accepted. And I realize what it is. What it is their house is not on fire. They're doing well. They are good. Roland ain't hurting. Jasmine Crockett ain't hurting. Kamala Harris ain't hurting. Name them. They're not hurting. They're doing fine. That's why they don't give a damn, Johnson. That's why they help these people, help them people, help the other people. Because they're good. And by doing that, it also helps their bottom line. They get more opportunities, more airtime. They get more invited to more events. They get to participate and make money, more money-making opportunities, jobs. It's a no-brainer. All they got to do is throw poor black people under the bus, middle-class black people struggling black people under the bus and ignore their issues. Piece of cake. That's a red velvet cake with a thick white icing. Woo! That's a white cake with white icing. Lemon meringue. That's butter pecan on the side. And they have a good time, man. Yeah, man. I think the poor whites in Appalachia would not be like, we need to go to Harlem. We need to go to Southeast DC. We need to go to Maryland Gardens over there. We need to go to Chilliman and Forest Heights. We need to go over there and help them over there because they're not hurt. They're not doing good. I heard somebody, cops is good. Cops try to board the back over there. We need to go over there. We ain't worried about that's over here in Appalachia. So what? Water's tainted. We ain't got to worry about that. You would never hear white people talk that way. They be like, I got to take care of my family. We got to take care of this community. They're allowed to do that. They're allowed to do that. Latino people are allowed to worry about Latino issues all day on Telemundo. You won't see a black person on Telemundo. You won't even see a dark-skinned Latino on Telemundo. They ain't a bit concerned about black people unless it's stealing our dance moves or trying to steal hip-hop. They ain't thinking about our ass. But you will never, if you listen to any black representative or senator talk for more than 5 minutes, they're going to say, you're going to hear the word brown people. Because black and brown people, from Warnock to Crockett to Maxine Waters to Ayanna Pressley, all of them. All of them. Because that's what they do, because they can't advocate for black people. And that's how I know I'm doing God's work, because I'm doing what they ain't doing. All right, Johnson, give it up for that segment. I'm telling you, Johnson, we cooking tonight. Oh, it's a Friday. It's a Friday. It's where people get punched in the stomach. That's right. We punch them in the stomach with the truth. Speaking of punching people in the stomach, Johnson, the Tim Black Show, we also have merchandise, and we have people that come through. They support our channel, and I appreciate them doing that. Let's see if we can find it. Check this out, guys. We got to, let me run this promotion. You know the deal. Independent black media stays unapologetic, raw, and real. Now you can wear the movement. From the Tim Black Wolf Pack to the Cornbread Collection. We got gear for the real ones. for men, women, even the little ones. No weak threads, no weak messages. Rep the truth. Rep the movement. Hit up timblackpauls.com and grab yours today. Because cornbread ain't free. Wolfpack. You know the deal. Independent black media. Man, I say, man, I'll be coming up with some good topics, man. Some good ad-libs, man. Cornbread ain't free. All right, guys, go to timblackpauls.com. Pick up a shirt or a scarf or a hat or a button or a mug or something. It's cool stuff there, man. And it's a return policy. The website, it's they got a return, free returns. So yeah, it's dope. All right, guys, let's go. Let's keep the party going, man. We got more of the show to do. Got a couple more stories, guys. We run into the final stretch, but I hope y'all stay with me, man, because we got some truth telling to do just yet. All right. Where are we at, Johnson? What's next?
Next on deck with Tim Black.
We don't agree with what's been sent to us, but if we withhold our votes, that is going to shut the government down. And I think that's one of our core responsibilities in the Senate or in the government here, to not ever allow the government to shut down. And I would see that it become, for Democrats, we're going to burn the village down just to save it.
He needs to relax more.
He needs to sit back a little farther.
Relax.
Sochi, does that not thrill you to see your favorite senator explaining the political reality to you today?
I will say.
The issue is every Republican in Washington, save one, my Congressman Thomas Massey, has or will vote to keep the government open. And all these Democrats in the House, save one, and most of the Democrats in the Senate are going to vote to shut down the government after spending weeks and weeks and weeks arguing that even the most minuscule job cuts in the federal government was a disaster and a chaos for the American people. And now they're apparently going to shut it down. There's no cuts to Medicare, no cuts to Medicaid, no cuts to veterans benefits, no cuts to Social Security.
There are some cuts
to
Democratic.
It's basically Biden spending levels, and Democrats just can't find it in their heart to keep the sacred federal government open.
Also, it's not necessarily minuscule cuts to jobs. I'm sorry. They are making
you're gonna cut them
major
all.
cuts.
You're going to cut them all.
No, it's Republicans that are, because they're the ones
We're
that are in
voting
charge
to keep
of
it open.
everything.
We're voting to keep it open, Sochi. You're the ones voting no.
It's a game that Republicans are playing.
Take yes for an answer.
Next on deck.
Let's talk about this, man. Let's talk about this shutdown real quick here, Johnson, because I was looking at this. Okay, so the opposition to Trump and Musk's influence. This is the reason why Democrats want to shut it down, Johnson. They want to shut it down. They wanted to shut down the government, but they did uniformly. Not all Democrats went along with the program. Some Democrats were voting to avert the shutdown. Okay, so they were, some resisted the Republican crafted stopgap funding bill for the CR, which is a continuing resolution, right? So that keeps the government going. And some people want to vote for it to keep it open, vote for the CR, and other Democrats voted against the CR. They would keep the government funded through September 30th, 2025. Now, here go the key reasons why Democrats wanted to vote against the continuing resolution, right? That keeps the government open. So they wanted to shut it down, right? And the reason why was opposition to Trump and Musk. Democrats were frustrated with President Trump and Elon Musk's efforts to slash federal funding and workforce through the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE. They saw the GOP's 6 month as potentially enabling these unilateral cuts, which they argued undermined Congress's power of the purse. They got a purse, so they want to use it, child. Some felt that supporting the bill without guardrails would legitimize Trump's moves without Democratic input. I can't stand that term, legitimize Trump's moves. He won the popular vote and the Electoral College. Shut up. 2, lack of bipartisan input. The House-passed bill was written solely by Republicans, excluding Democrats from negotiations. This was a sore point, as many Democrats wanted a shorter-term CR. 1 month. Some Democrats wanted this to just go 1 month and revisit it in 9. Okay, so they want to force bipartisan talks and maintain leverage against Trump's agenda. So they wanted to show their ass. That's what they want. Okay, and number 3, pressure from the base. It's all about that base, baby. It's all about that base. We got progressive activists and the Democratic grassroots demanding a harder stance against Trump. They saw a shutdown as a rare chance to flex their muscles. Hercules, 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 but no. In the Republican-controlled Congress and White House, hoping to extract concessions like limits on Musk's ability to impound funds. So was this valid? That's what they say the problem is. Now, initially, Senator Minority Leader Chuck Schumer signaled on March 12 and 13 that Democrats wouldn't provide the votes needed to pass the GOP bill, which requires 60 Senate votes to overcome a filibuster. So we all know about that. Republicans only got 53 seats, so they need some Democrats. Now, from a Democratic view, the concerns were legitimate. Trump and Musk's actions, slashing jobs and programs without congressional approval, threatened the separation of powers. From a critical view, the strategy was shaky. Shutdowns historically hurt the party seen as obstructing. That's the thing, and this is what Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries and John Fetterman were trying to say. Even if you're right and you say, Trump gone too far, and who's this Musk guy? Get him the hell out of here. Even if you're right about that, more Americans would be like, why'd you shut down the government, dog? They would hold the Democrats responsible for the shutdown of the government. You say Trump is hurting, Trump and Musk, Trump is hurting Americans by this, taking jobs away or underfunding, changing funding, right? But then your solution is to shut down the government, which does the same thing. But it's you doing it, so it's okay. Yeah, so that's the reason why Fetterman and Hakeem and Schumer probably supported the CR, because, well, it made sense to them. They saw themselves as being faced with being the bad guys, so to speak. Okay, so the government avoided a shutdown because Democrats ultimately relented. Here's how it happened, guys, and this is important. Schumer pivoted. And I heard people saying, if AOC could run against Schumer next week, she'd win. Yeah, that's what you say. AOC's full of a lot of hot air, in my opinion. Schumer announced he'd vote for the GOP bill despite misgivings, arguing that a shutdown's consequences, furloughed workers, halted services, and potential economic damage were worse than the bill's flaws. He feared Trump might exploit a shutdown to selectively reopen only GOP-favored agencies. Okay, Democrats back down. March 14th, enough Senate Democrats followed Schumer, and they went on and voted for the CR. Practical realities, guys. So at the end of the day, what's the practicality of everything I just listed? What's the real deal, Johnson? With time running out and no viable alternative, the CR was a non-starter for Republicans. Democrats chose stability over a risky standoff. The Democrats' basis for risking a shutdown were rooted in resisting Trump's agenda and asserting congressional power, but it wasn't a cohesive or winnable fight given their minority status and the optics of disruption. Once again, guys, I don't even know what the conversation is going to be. Like, how you going to say, look, I don't like you taking our money and buying that TV, and then you go to Vegas and blow the whole savings? It don't make sense. But that's the logic they were using. And if you didn't agree with that logic, it made sense to people that are kooky. I hate to break it to the Democrats, including the progressives and the liberals, but I got to tell you, the Democrats ain't got no power. Yeah, it's just like a party. In the 90s, I used to go to a house party where we used to shout out, you ain't got no power. You ain't got, that's what the Democrats have. They have no power. I hate to tell you that, but see, that's the repercussions of electing a Joe Biden with America's arms twisted behind their backs. That's the repercussions of the consequences of running a Kamala Harris, of not holding a primary, of coordinating someone who doesn't know what they're doing and has no message, and did not have any policies, and avoiding interviews and press conferences. This is what happens. What can I tell you? Somebody had to win and somebody had to lose. Let's keep going, Johnson. I tell you.
With Tim Black.
So you guys know we were approaching.
Well, now this lady is going to discuss some of the upsides of the CR that no one's talking about. In fact, I'm really refreshed that Queen Truth 7 on TikTok broke this down.
A government shutdown. But thank God, as of yesterday, they voted on passing the bill, the House of Representatives, to Congress. Now, what the media is not going to tell you is that that bill included a $500 million increase to WIC programs for people that can afford those essentials for their child. He also extended the TANF program, which ensures relief for low-income families, $10 billion to ICE, $293 million for any emergencies that the country face. And also, he extended the Medicare programs. And guess what? Out of the 214 House of Representatives that are Democratic, you know who voted against it? 212 of them. So what they're saying, they don't want you to have TANF. They don't want to increase WIC. They don't care if emergency happens to the country and you're able to get funding. They will take away from you just to spite Donald Trump. And people like that are not for you and are not in your corner.
Yeah, that's one way to look at it, Johnson. Yeah, that's one way to look at it. That's the way a lot of Americans will look at it. Unless you believe you drank the Kool-Aid, that everything the Democrats do, that's just fallible. They don't do anything wrong. It's just Trump. He's evil Trump. Yeah. So if Trump would have not increased WIC, $500 million, if he would have not extended TANF, that's food stamps, the card, whatever you want to call it. That helps families, helps not just families, but individuals can get it too if they need food assistance. $10 billion to ICE. That's right, got to keep that, got to control that fentanyl, Johnson. That's some dangerous stuff coming across that border. And another $293 million for emergencies. That's a damn good thing. What's wrong with that? I think we need emergency funding. Didn't we find that out what happened with the mudslides and the fires and the hurricanes, tornadoes, what have you that we got going on? It's crazy. We need a backup plan. We need to reserve money for that. And then, of course, there is the Medicare programs that need to stay intact. And I support that. And Trump ran on not cutting benefits to Medicare, Medicaid, or Social Security. Trump ran on not cutting those things. And he said he's not going to cut them, but I know since it's Trump, no one believes it. So, yeah. You got to listen to the Democrats with all types of salt. Forget a grain of salt, you need a whole box of salt, because they are very salty right now. And all they can do is complain. And without complaining, there'll be no sound coming from them because they have no power. Get it? This happened to Republicans. Republicans were out of power. That's why you didn't know a lot of stuff that Democrats were doing. But see, it's different when Republicans are out of power because they also don't have control of the media. So Democrats always have the media, and that's why it's so damn loud when they're crying. When Republicans were crying about Obama, no one heard it. Yeah, when they were crying about Obama and Biden in the corner over there in the fetal position, crying over Biden, you don't think Republicans were crying the first 2 years of Obama's presidency or Biden's presidency? It's Biden rolled back everything that that Trump did that he could find that helped. Jesus. Yeah, but you never heard about it, did you? Did you hear them talking? No. So why you get to hear all the time when the Democrats complain? That's because the news that you consume. That's right, Johnson. They're gonna tell you only the bad things, only the most negative things are what they're gonna talk about when it comes to this administration. Because it's not a political, it's not a government agency, of course, but I tell you, the media is so much more. It's where the opinion, the popular opinion, is aided and formed. That's where the movies are made, baby. That's where the propaganda come in. All right, guys, let's see what we got. Hit the like button, folks. Let's get to 400. On a Friday, it's hard to get to 400. Can you hit the like button, guys? I don't know how many people are watching, but I need you to hit the like button for the algorithm. Let's get to 400. I know we can do it. Thank you for supporting this channel.
Next on deck with Tim Black.
Let's go back. We'll talk more about the government funding bill later in the show, but I have a legal panel here, so let's stick with this. Sochi, I want you to take a listen to this from President Trump.
We must be honest about the lies and abuses that have occurred within these walls. Unfortunately, in recent years, a corrupt group of hacks and radicals within the ranks of the American government obliterated the trust and goodwill built up over generations. They weaponize the vast powers of our intelligence and law enforcement agencies to try and thwart the will of the American people.
Now, you don't have to be, I know you disagree, you're shaking your head, you're going to get the mic in the sack. You don't have to be a member of MAGA to say, you know what, those Peter Strzok, Lisa Page texts were awful. There was FISA abuse. There was that weird thing with Carter Page. I don't know about that Alvin Bragg case where he basically invented a felony. You don't have to be a member of MAGA to look and say, you know what? He does have some legitimate grievances.
Here is what I want to assure people about. Merrick Garland was a judge. He was a longtime career prosecutor. He did everything to follow the facts and the law and allow that to happen. It was a special counsel matter where Merrick Garland wasn't making the decisions. What I'll say even further, there is a jury in both Florida and D.C. that believe that there is enough evidence for Donald Trump to be indicted.
I mean a grand jury.
A grand jury on 44 counts. And this isn't just some conspiracy theory. There was no weaponization. Donald Trump, the federal government believes that Donald Trump committed crimes. And Jack Smith said in his report that if he were not elected president, that he believes he would have been successful in these two cases. And so the reality is the only reason why he can go out now and claim weaponization is because he's president. They dropped the charges only because he was president. There is no other reason.
The charges never would have been brought if he was not president, if the Democrats were not trying to stop him from being president. We all know that now. Lady who talks loudly but says much of nothing. Because that's the point. That's the entire point. He never would have got charged. It's like so many things that have happened in history. As a Black American that knows my history, it's so many times when Black people were charged with crimes they didn't commit. They were charged with them because they were Black. So I have a very, unique, we have a unique vantage point from this type of situation. I'm not comparing Trump to Black people, but what I'm saying is we know historically one of the differences between going to jail and not going to jail is somebody deciding it's you. That's all I'm saying. And if you are so removed from the history of America to know that's how it operates, then that's the problem that you have. You need to go pick up a book. I got several over there. Okay, we need to do reading lists, or book lists or something. I need to take more time and read more of my books. But here's the deal. We know most Americans, I think, believe that Donald Trump should never been prosecuted for most of that shit. Alvin Bragg making up charges. What about that? What about that? Come on, Johnson. And let's not even talk about the indictments, the grand jury indictment. Folks, before I was focused mostly on politics, when I used to follow every court case, I'm talking about everything. Up to 2020, man, 2020, I say 2022, every shooting, every high-profile arrest, I was on it. Let me tell you something I learned. There's a saying. A prosecutor worth his salt can get a ham sandwich indicted. That means any case you put before a grand jury can get an indictment if you want one. because there's no opposing evidence, there's no arguments, there's no rebuttals. You get to write the story. You get to tell them what happened. And there's no cross-examination, there's nothing. It's just you talking to the grand jury and telling them this is a case we can prove, and this is how we're going to prove it, and this is why we think we should be able to get this indictment. And they, most of the time, go right ahead, sir. If you can prove that, you don't have to prove it during a grand jury. You just got to say it. And that's why whenever I see a case where there is no grand jury, there is no indictment, I know in most cases, the prosecutor has cut a deal, the cops or whoever has cut a deal to not have the prosecution happen, to have the indictment go away, okay? Because it's too damn easy to get an indictment. So she's talking for the benefit of the people that she supports, but she's also talking to convincing people that don't know anything about how the legal system works. Because what I'm citing to you is very basic and common knowledge of those that cover this type of content or that cover our legal system. Let's keep going, Johnson.
Acquitted him. There was no other reason that those charges were dropped other than the fact that the American people elected him.
I will just, for people at home, Jim, I'm coming right to you. For people at home, I should note, I was talking about the Russiagate investigation and the Alvin Bragg case, and you deftly switched it to the Jack Smith investigations.
I was not involved in the
You were
Alvin
not
Bragg
involved in the other
or
ones,
the Russian
but I'm just saying, just for people at home, I was taking issue with some other ones, but go ahead.
Look, I was.
Yeah, because some stuff he was talking about, he had a good point, and then you didn't talk about any of that. You went to another case altogether that I still put holes in. But yeah. It is what it is. I don't know, man. Do people still believe that Trump, the indictments, people still believe that made sense, like those indictments? You still believe they weren't politically motivated? I mean, how do people think the Democrats wanted to stop Trump? And they didn't. You don't think they would use any mechanism to do it? You don't think that? Jesus Christ. Well, man, there's a lot of work to do. I can't do it. I can't convince you. In fact, I never convinced anybody of anything. I'm humble that way. I realize that. A man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still. You ever convince somebody of something and they fight you on it, then they give in, and then next time you talk to them, they're back to not agreeing with you? That's because they never agreed with you to begin with. A person has to convince themselves, and that's always the fight. Just give them the information, what I used to call sprinkle some facts on them and get out of there. Because that's all you can do. Just sit there and argue with people, create enemies, create animosity, call people dumb, tell people they need to take a civics class, and all the other dumb stuff that people say, like Jasmine Crockett, that they say alienate people. Why? Just sprinkle some facts on them and get out of there. Just say that's one of my old phrases. Some of y'all know that too. I got some old designs in the t-shirt shop. Sprinkle some facts on them. That was 2014, 2015, 2016. Well, guys, that's all I got. I think that's enough. I think we did a very good job. Give it up for everybody who supports this channel. Give it up. I want to thank my moderators. Buck Bewley and Black Mama, for supporting this show all week. I appreciate y'all, man. I want to thank the Tim Black Wolfpack for all you do. I want to thank people that watch and share and comment that have made us be a channel that's important. I think we have a voice, and it matters, and I will continue to do my job. I'm going to tell you guys, look, hey, I'm built to give you the news. I'm built to tell you the truth, but you got to be built to take it. Sometimes I'm going to be more colorful probably than some of you are used to. And so for some others, maybe I'm a little tame. That's another side of the game. But I try to be authentic and be who I really am. And I try to talk like we would talk if we were friends having a beer. So there it is. Let's go to comment section and see what we got, Johnson. What's up, people? And don't forget, go to asktimblack.com. Asktimblack.com. Leave a message. Any message. We have a message for me or a message for the show, an announcement, a thought. It's a voicemail. And if it's a dope message or a message with a point that you want to convey, maybe I'll play it on the show. It's not a phone line, but it's the next best thing. It's your voicemail. And just say what's on your mind. That's asktimblack.com. So where are we at, Johnson? Okay, here we go. That's live. Start. Here we go. The Black Mamba. We got WD in the house. WD gave me a super sticker. Thank you, WD. M. Spark says, from the river to the sea, Johnson. Church, Talk Unlimited, James Paul Berry. It's hard to function with an perspective. Lou Maldonado with a sticker. Thank you, Lou. Yaya's kids came through again. Thank you, Yaya. I appreciate you. Lou again, recap. Number 1, deport. Number 2, refer to number 1. The informant media. Senator Fetterman came in a progressive. What happened? Also, DNC next promise to black voters. Ayanna Pressley to replace Mr. Clean 2026. Ayanna Pressley. You cold, brother. You cold, brother. That caught me off guard, fam. Look. Randy Harris. I enjoy the show, and here's my support. Thank you, Randy Harris, for supporting the show, fam. Thank you. I appreciate you, fam. Look, man, it's been something. We did our thing. We ended Fridays with a bang. Hit the like button on your way out. I would appreciate it. From my family to yours, me and Mrs. Black, we appreciate y'all. Thank you for supporting independent media. Go support some more independent media. Let them show them some love. We're doing a good fight. Remember, we're here not to make you a Republican, but make you an independent. And we'll decide then what we're going to do. How about that? All right, that's it. That's all I got, I think. Look, yeah. Like I always say, don't let nobody take your cornbread. Don't let anybody take your cornbread. That's your job, to keep your cornbread. All right? Democrats trying to take your cornbread. You're smart enough not to give it to the Republicans most of the time. Well, I think now some things are changing on the Republican side. Now they're starting to realize maybe we can get some black votes. Black votes are obtainable. And with that thought, things may change. But not if he's run back under the ankles, around the legs of the Democratic Party. That's not going to do it. Brothers, we must stay the course. Sisters, you know what time it is. I play videos of sisters that know what time it is today. That's on purpose. Number love for you. Number love for you. Have a safe, happy, and joyful, peaceful weekend. And with that, like I always say, where my ladies at? Oh, there they go.